The Outsiders. The Galactic Confederation had existed for nearly 5 millennia by the time humanity stumbled onto the interstellar stage. 27 advanced civilizations, each with centuries or millennia of spacefaring experience, had carved up the known galaxy into spheres of influence, trade routes, and carefully negotiated boundaries. Some, like the crystalline Vexar, had mastered quantum manipulation, while Earth's first mammals were still scurrying beneath dinosaur feet. Others, like the hive-minded Centauri, had colonized hundreds of worlds while humans were still fashioning tools from stone. Humanity's late arrival to this cosmic congregation was met with a mixture of condescension and dismissal. The bipedal mammals from Sol II had accomplished much in their brief existence, but they were children playing at the table of elders. When Earth joined the Confederation in 2247, they were granted observer status and permission to colonize 3 habitable worlds within their home system, mere crumbs from the galactic feast. That changed in 2311 when humanity announced Project Horizon. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the command deck of Europa Station, gazing at the massive structure taking shape in orbit around Jupiter. Half finished, it already dwarfed any vessel constructed in Sol's system before. Its elongated, almost organic form lacked the typical geometric precision of Confederation vessels. No bristling weapon arrays or obvious shield generators marked its exterior, yet its sheer scale had sent ripples of concern throughout the Confederation. "Captain Rice," a voice called. "The delegation from the Vexar has arrived. They're requesting another inspection." Elena turned to face her executive officer, Commander Darius Jackson. His dark features displayed the perfect balance of professional detachment and wry amusement that had made him her first choice for XO. "4th inspection this month," she replied. "The Centauri were here last week, and the Moldorian representative the week before. You'd think we were building a doomsday device." "Aren't we?" Darius asked, his voice dropping despite the secure location. Elena's lips curved into a slight smile. "Depends on your definition of doom." The Vexar delegation, led by High Observer Tazel, moved through the station with the mathematical precision characteristic of their crystalline biology. Their faceted bodies refracted the station's lighting into complex patterns across the walls. Though they attempted to maintain an air of bureaucratic indifference, Elena noted the agitated vibrations emanating from their crystalline forms. "We understand completion of your vessel is imminent," Tazel said, the translation matrix converting the harmonic resonances of their crystal structure into human speech. "The UES Horizon will be ready for its maiden voyage within 3 weeks," Elena confirmed. "As I've explained during your previous visits, you're welcome to observe the launch." Tazel's crystal segments shifted in what Elena had learned was an expression of skepticism. The Confederation remains concerned about the purpose of such a massive warship. Earth has no territorial disputes requiring military intervention. "I never said it was a warship," Elena replied. "A vessel of that size, constructed with such secrecy, hardly secret if you're standing here discussing it." Darius interjected with a disarming smile. Tazel's crystals flushed a deep amber, irritation. "The Confederation has monitored your communications. We know your military refers to it as humanity's ultimate weapon." Elena inclined her head. "And so it is, but perhaps not the kind of weapon you imagine." As the delegation departed, unsatisfied but unable to demand more information without violating Confederation protocols, Darius turned to Elena. "They're getting nervous. The Moldorians have moved a battle group to the edge of Sol's system. The Centauri are threatening economic sanctions." "Let them," Elena said. "In 3 weeks, they'll understand." The crew of the Horizon numbered 1,000, an eclectic mix of Earth's finest minds, drawn from every field except traditional military strategy. Elena had personally selected each one based not on combat experience, but on their capacity for empathy, creativity, and lateral thinking. Traits that humans possessed in abundance compared to most Confederation species. Dr. Sophia Chen, the ship's chief science officer, joined Elena in the cavernous central chamber that occupied nearly a third of the vessel's internal volume. Unlike the bridge or engine room of a traditional ship, this space defied easy categorization. "Final calibrations are complete," Sophia said, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface. "The neural network is processing at 99.94% efficiency. Quantum entanglement chambers are stable." Elena nodded, running her hand along one of the curved walls. The surface responded to her touch, rippling with patterns of blue-green light, and powered by the most dangerous weapon humanity had ever wielded: empathy. The revelation. The central chamber of the horizon glowed with soft azure light as the delegations entered. The vast circular space featured no obvious technology, no visible control stations, just a seamless, gently curving floor that rose toward the center like a shallow bowl. The walls pulsed with subtle patterns that seemed to respond to the emotions of those present. "What is this?" demanded Vorax, the leader of the Maldorian delegation. His scaled tail lashed in agitation. "Where are your weapons?" The Zentari collective buzzed with confusion, their drones spreading throughout the chamber, scanning every surface. "We detect unusual energy patterns," the collective voice stated. "Quantum fluctuations inconsistent with known technology." Elena moved to the center of the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the tense silence. "Distinguished representatives, what you are seeing is Project Horizon, humanity's answer to interstellar conflict." She gestured, and the chamber dimmed. Above them, the ceiling became transparent, revealing the stars beyond. But then, impossibly, those stars began to change. The delegations gasped as the very fabric of space seemed to bend around them, bringing distant worlds into focus. "This is the Arcturus Divide, as it exists today," Elena explained. The visualization showed the contested region in perfect detail: mining operations, military installations, civilian settlements. But more than that, it somehow conveyed the emotional context of the conflict. The Maldorians felt the Zentari's desperate need for the resources to sustain their rapidly growing collective. The Zentari experienced the Maldorians' ancestral connection to worlds they considered sacred. What is happening?" Vorax whispered, his typical aggression fading as unfamiliar emotions washed over him. Sophia stepped forward. "The horizon is equipped with what we call an empathic quantum field generator. It creates a localized fold in spacetime that allows for not just visual observation, but emotional transference." "Impossible," the Zentari collective buzzed, though the pattern of their flight had become erratic. "Consciousness cannot be transmitted." "Not transmitted," Sophia corrected. "Shared. Humans evolved as social creatures. Our greatest strength isn't our technology or our physical capabilities. It's our ability to understand others, to feel what they feel, to see through eyes not our own." The chamber shifted again, now showing the Arcturus Divide not as it was, but as it could be: a region of shared prosperity, with both species working in harmony. The vision was so vivid, so emotionally resonant, that several Maldorian warriors dropped to their knees. "This is manipulation," Vorax accused, though his voice lacked conviction. "Mind control." "No," Elena said firmly. "We cannot create emotions that don't exist or change your fundamental values. We can only help you experience perspectives beyond your own. Every being in this room remains in complete control of their actions and decisions." The Zentari collective had drawn its drones into a tight formation, a defensive posture. "The Confederation will not permit such technology. It threatens the established order." "It threatens nothing but misunderstanding," Darius countered. "For millennia, the species of this galaxy have communicated through language, an imperfect tool at best. We're offering something more." Before either delegation could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Amara's voice came over the comm system, tense but controlled. "Captain, we have multiple unidentified vessels entering the Divide. They're not responding to hails and are moving at high velocity toward our position." Elena frowned. On screen, The chamber shifted again, showing real-time tactical data. 7 vessels, each larger than the largest Confederation battleship, had appeared at the edge of the divide and were accelerating toward them. "Those aren't Confederation designs," Vorax said, his professional assessment overriding his emotional confusion. The Zentari collective buzzed in agreement. "Unknown configuration. Energy signatures exceed known parameters." As the vessels drew closer, their intent became clear. Energy weapons of unprecedented power lashed out, striking both Maldorian and Zentari ships without discrimination. Explosions bloomed in silence against the backdrop of stars. "They're attacking both your fleets," Alina said, already moving toward the exit. "Commander Jackson, get us to battle stations." "Wait," Vorax called, his voice carrying an unfamiliar note. Uncertainty. "What are those ships? Why would they attack both sides?" The Zentari collective had fallen silent, its drones perfectly still, a sign of deep processing. Then, in a voice that somehow conveyed dread across species barriers, "They match fragments of ancient records. The Devourers. They were believed extinct. Rest of the ship. Life support, propulsion, shields, all systems nominal. Though I still think the shields are excessive." "They're necessary," Alina replied. "Not everyone will understand what we're doing here." "Not at first." Sophia's expression grew serious. "The Confederation has existed for 5 millennia, Captain. They've settled into comfortable patterns. What we're about to do will disrupt everything they know." "That's the idea," Alina said with a smile. Over the following days, final preparations accelerated. The crew ran simulations, calibrated systems, and prepared for the most ambitious mission in human history. Meanwhile, the diplomatic situation deteriorated. 9 Confederation species had now positioned military vessels near Earth, citing security concerns. Trade with human colonies had slowed to a trickle as sanctions took effect. The night before launch, Director Marcus Wong of the United Earth Space Agency contacted Alina via secure channel. "The President is under immense pressure to cancel the launch," he said, his weathered face lined with concern. "The Maldorian ambassador threatened to revoke our Confederation membership." "We expected resistance," Alina replied. "But once they see what Horizon can do—" "That's just it," Wong interrupted. "They're afraid of what it can do. The Vexar are convinced we've discovered some new weapon technology. The Zentari believe we're planning to disrupt trade routes." Alina leaned forward. "And what do you believe, Director?" Wong's expression softened. "I believe in humanity's capacity to surprise even an old cynic like me." The launch proceeded as scheduled. As the massive vessel detached from Jupiter's orbital shipyard, representatives from all 27 Confederation species watched with trepidation. The Horizon moved with unexpected grace for its size, its engines emitting a distinctive violet glow that human engineers had nicknamed Soul Fire. Alina stood on the bridge, watching as Jupiter receded behind them. "Set course for the Arcturus Divide," she ordered. Darius raised an eyebrow. "The Arcturus Divide. That's the heart of the Maldorian-Zentari conflict zone." "Precisely," Alina said. "If we're going to prove what the Horizon can do, we might as well start with the worst conflict in the galaxy." The Arcturus Divide had been a battlefield for over a century. The resource-rich region was claimed by both the Maldorians and the Zentari, and countless lives have been lost in the struggle for control. A dozen Confederation peace missions have failed to resolve the dispute. As the Horizon approached the edge of the conflict zone, long-range sensors detected multiple battle groups converging on their position. "We're being hailed," Communications Officer Amara Singh reported. "Both Maldorian and Zentari commanders are demanding we identify our purpose." "Open a channel to both fleets," Alina ordered. She straightened her uniform and faced the view screen. "This is Captain Alina Reyes of the UES Horizon. We come on behalf of Earth and humanity to offer our assistance in resolving the Arcturus dispute." The Maldorian commander, a towering reptilian whose scaled skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, hissed in what the translation matrix identified as derision. "Your vessel has been identified as a weapon," the Maldorian stated. "Your presence in this conflict zone is unwelcome and provocative." The Zentari commander, a collective consciousness represented by a cluster of hovering insectoid drones, buzzed in rare agreement with their enemy. "The human vessel will withdraw immediately or face consequences." Elena smiled. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. The Horizon is indeed humanity's newest creation, but its purpose is not what you believe. With your permission, I invite representatives from both your fleets to come aboard and see for themselves." There was a long pause as the alien commanders conferred with their respective governments. Finally, both agreed to send small delegations, each convinced they would uncover Earth's military secrets and gain an advantage over their rival. "Prepare the convergence chamber," Elena ordered as the transmission ended. "It's time to show the galaxy what humanity's secret weapon really is." The alien delegations arrived separately, each escorted by security teams composed of their most elite warriors. The Maldorians moved with predatory grace, their massive forms dwarfing the human crew members. The Zentari drones hovered in perfect synchronization, their collective mind analyzing every detail of the mysterious human vessel. As they approached the central chamber, tension mounted. Each side expected to find advanced weapons, perhaps a new form of destructive energy, or a reality-warping device. What they found instead left them speechless. The massive chamber housed neither weapons nor engines, but something far more revolutionary. A diplomatic arena unlike any the galaxy had seen before. "The Devourers," Elena asked as they rushed toward the bridge. "A species that predates the Confederation," the Zentari explained. "They do not conquer or colonize. They harvest. Entire worlds stripped of resources, populations consumed." On the bridge, chaos reigned as reports flooded in. Both Maldorian and Zentari fleets were taking heavy losses. The unknown vessels, the Devourers, displayed technology far beyond even the most advanced Confederation species. "Our shields won't hold against that kind of firepower," Darius reported grimly. Elena turned to the alien delegations who had followed her to the bridge. "This is bigger than your conflict now. We need to work together." Vorax and the Zentari representative exchanged glances, a moment of shared understanding that would have been impossible hours earlier. "The Maldorian Empire stands with humanity," Vorax declared. "The Zentari Collective joins this alliance." The drones buzzed in unison. Elena nodded. "Then let's show them what Horizon can really do." Over the next several hours, as the Devourer ships methodically destroyed the combined fleet, the true purpose of the Horizon became clear. It was not merely a diplomatic tool but a coordination platform unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The empathic field expanded, connecting the surviving ships of both fleets. Human operators served as bridges between the hive mind tactics of the Zentari and the aggressive individualism of the Maldorians. Strategies formed and adapted with unprecedented speed as each species contributed their unique perspective. "They're targeting our command ships," Vorax observed as another Maldorian cruiser exploded. "They recognize hierarchical command structures," the Zentari Collective responded. "They cannot comprehend our distributed consciousness." Elena watched the tactical display, seeing patterns emerge. "They're ancient predators. They expect fear, chaos, every species fighting for itself." "But we're not," Darius said, understanding dawning on his face. "Exactly," Elena replied. She opened a channel to all allied ships. "This is Captain Reyes. The Devourers expect us to behave like prey. Instead, we will become a single organism. Horizon will coordinate. Follow your targeting solutions precisely." What followed was not a battle but a dance. Maldorian ships performed maneuvers they would never have attempted on their own, guided by Zentari spatial awareness. Zentari drone ships struck with precision and timing they could never have achieved without Maldorian tactical experience. And at the center, Human operators translated, coordinated, and improvised. The first Devourer vessel fell to a perfectly synchronized attack from 3 directions. The second was crippled when its predictable response patterns were exploited by a trap set by the combined fleet. On the Horizon's bridge, Elena felt a growing sense of hope. It's working. We're actually. The ship shuddered violently as a massive energy beam struck them directly. Systems failed across the board. The empathic field wavered. Direct hit, Sophia shouted from her station. The quantum matrix is destabilizing. Elena gripped her command chair as the lights flickered. Reroute power. We cannot lose the field now. Vorax moved to a nearby console, his massive form dwarfing the human station. Your shield technology is primitive. Allow me. His clawed fingers moved with surprising delicacy across the interface, implementing modifications on the fly. The Zentari drones spread throughout the bridge, extending the ship's damaged sensor network with their own awareness. We detect a pattern in their attack sequence, a vulnerability in their approach vector. Together, they stabilized the Horizon. The empathic field strengthened again, but Elena knew it was only temporary. The remaining Devourer ships were concentrating their fire on the Horizon, recognizing it as the linchpin of the defense. They're learning, she said grimly, adapting to our tactics. Then we must do something they cannot adapt to, the Zentari Collective proposed. Elena looked at the tactical display, at the 5 remaining Devourer ships surrounding them. She thought of Earth, of humanity's brief history among the stars, of all they had built with so little time. I have an idea, she said finally, but it's risky. It might destroy the Horizon. Vorax bared his teeth in what might have been a smile. Your vessel has already destroyed something I thought indestructible, centuries of hatred. What is one ship compared to that? The Zentari drones hummed in agreement. The collective concurs. Proceed with your plan, Captain Reyes. Elena nodded and opened a channel to engineering. Dr. Chen, we need to push the quantum matrix beyond safety limits. We're going to turn the empathic field into a weapon. The final gambit. The Horizon trembled under continuous assault, its revolutionary hull design absorbing punishment that would have destroyed any conventional vessel. In engineering, Sophia Chen worked frantically, her hands flying across multiple interfaces as she reconfigured the ship's core systems. You're talking about reversing the empathic field, she said over the comm link to the bridge, using it to project rather than receive. Can it be done? Elena asked, helping a wounded crew member to a medical station as another impact rocked the ship. Theoretically, Sophia replied. The quantum matrix was designed for bidirectional information flow, but pushing it into full projection mode would create catastrophic feedback loops in the system. In plain language, Dr. Vorax growled. It could burn out the entire neural network, Sophia explained, possibly destabilize the quantum regulators. And if that happens, Elena pressed. A moment of silence. Best case, the ship loses all power and we drift until life support fails. Worst case, the quantum matrix collapses and creates a localized tear in space-time. The Zentari Collective buzzed with alarm. This would destroy everything within this stellar region. Only if we lose containment, Sophia corrected, which I don't intend to let happen. Another hit rocked the ship. Damage reports flooded in from all decks. 3 more Allied vessels had been destroyed. The remaining fleet was being systematically dismantled. We're out of options, Elena said. Make it happen, Doctor. Sophia's voice was steady. I'll need 10 minutes to reconfigure the matrix, and someone will need to guide the field manually once it's active. The automation won't handle the feedback. Understood, Elena replied, exchanging glances with Darius. Bridge out. As Sophia worked, the combined fleet executed a desperate holding action. Maldorian warships sacrificed themselves to draw fire away from the Horizon. Zentari drone clusters performed impossible evasive maneuvers, buying precious seconds. On the bridge, Elena gathered her senior staff, along with Vorax and the Zentari representative. Once the empathic field is reversed, we'll have one chance. The field will project human consciousness outward, not just communication, but our entire sensory and emotional experience. To what end? Vorax asked. The Devourers are predators, Elena explained. They see other species as prey. We're going to show them what it feels like to be hunted. Darius frowned. How will that help? They'll just get angry. Not if we do it right, Elena said. Sophia believes we can target specific emotional states: fear, empathy, connection. We'll show them not just our terror, but our capacity for cooperation, for growth. You wish to convert them? The Zentari Collective asked skeptically. No, Elena said. I want to confuse them. Predators have specific responses to prey behavior. When prey doesn't act like prey, when it reflects the predator's own tactics back at it, the predator hesitates. That hesitation is all we need. Before anyone could respond, Sophia's voice came over the comm. Captain, the Matrix is ready, but there's a complication. The targeting system is damaged. Someone will need to manually guide the field from the central chamber, directly connected to the quantum interface. What does that mean? Darius asked. It means, Sophia replied gravely, that whoever does it will experience the full feedback loop. Their consciousness will be projected to the Devourers, and they'll experience whatever the Devourers feel in return. That would overwhelm a human mind, the Zentari Collective stated. Even our distributed consciousness could not withstand such feedback. I'll do it, Elena said without hesitation. Captain, Darius began. No arguments, Commander. This was my project from the beginning. She turned to address the entire bridge. It has been my honor to serve with all of you, human and non-human alike. Commander Jackson, you have the bridge. As Elena made her way to the central chamber, the ship continued to take hits. Systems failed across multiple decks. The Allied fleet had been reduced to a handful of vessels, fighting with desperate courage against the Devourer ships. The central chamber was eerily peaceful despite the battle raging outside. The quantum interface, a raised platform at the center of the room, pulsed with blue-white energy. Sophia stood beside it, making final adjustments. Once you're connected, she explained, you'll need to focus on specific emotional states. The interface will amplify and project them. Start with fear, not your fear, but the fear you would feel as a predator suddenly facing something it doesn't understand. Elena nodded, removing her uniform jacket. And then complexity, confusion, finally, connection. Sophia looked up, her eyes meeting Elena's. You won't be able to maintain the connection for long before the feedback becomes too intense. How long? 2 minutes, maybe 3. Sophia hesitated. Elena, there's something else. The feedback, it might not just overwhelm your consciousness, it could permanently alter it. You mean I might not come back as me? Elena said quietly. If you come back at all, Sophia confirmed. Elena took a deep breath. Better make this count then. As she stepped onto the platform, the quantum interface responded immediately. Tendrils of energy curled around her body, connecting to her nervous system. Elena gasped as her consciousness expanded beyond the confines of her body, beyond the ship, stretching across the void toward the Devourer vessels. She felt them before she saw them, ancient, hungry, driven by instincts older than civilization itself. The Devourers were a collective consciousness, but fundamentally different from the Zentari. Where the Zentari were many minds working in harmony, the Devourers were a singular hunger split across many vessels. Elena struggled against the overwhelming alienness of their mind. Focusing with all her strength, she projected not her own fear, but the fear of a predator suddenly uncertain. The confusion of a hunter finding its prey incomprehensible. Through the haze of connecting consciousnesses, she heard Sophia's voice, distant yet clear. It's working. The Devourer ships have stopped firing. Elena pushed deeper, showing the Devourers the complexity of cooperation between different species. the strength found in diversity, the power of empathy. She showed them humanity's brief but vibrant history, not as prey to be consumed, but as beings worthy of recognition. The feedback began to build. Pain lanced through Alina's mind as the alien consciousness reacted with confusion, then rage. The Devourers had existed for millennia, consuming all in their path. They could not comprehend another way of being. Their ships are powering weapons again, Sophia reported urgently. Alina, you need to break the connection. But Alina pushed harder. Beyond the rage, beyond the hunger, she sensed something else in the Devourer collective. Loneliness. An ancient, cosmic loneliness born of seeing all other life as merely sustenance. With her remaining strength, she projected not just human connection, but the connection she had witnessed on the horizon. Maldorian and Centauri working together despite centuries of hatred. She showed them what the galaxy could be. The pain became unbearable. Alina felt her identity fracturing, pieces of her consciousness scattering across the quantum field. Her last coherent thought was a memory, standing on a beach on Earth, watching the sun rise over the Pacific Ocean, feeling small yet connected to everything. Then darkness. On the bridge, Darius watched in disbelief as the Devourer ships suddenly powered down. Their weapons went offline. Their engines shut down. They drifted, silent and dark against the stars. What happened? He demanded. The Centauri collective had gone completely still, their version of shock. The Devourers, they're communicating, not attacking. Communicating. With whom? Vorax asked. With each other, the Centauri replied. We are detecting massive internal communication. It's as if they're debating. Sophia's voice came over the comm, tight with urgency. Commander, I need a medical team to the central chamber immediately. The captain is down. Hours later, as the Allied fleet cautiously approached the dormant Devourer vessels, Alina Reyes lay in the Horizon's medical bay, surrounded by monitoring equipment. Her body was physically unharmed, but her neural scans showed patterns never before recorded in a human brain. Will she recover? Darius asked Dr. Nikolai Petrov, the ship's chief medical officer. I don't know, Petrov admitted. Her brain activity is. I've never seen anything like it. It's as if her consciousness expanded beyond normal human parameters. The Devourers did this. Not exactly. The quantum interface was designed to extend human empathy outward. What happened to the captain was the opposite. Something came back through the connection. Vorax, who had refused to leave the ship despite the crisis being seemingly resolved, rumbled thoughtfully. In Maldorian legend, there are tales of those who communed with ancient beings. They returned, changed, enhanced. The Centauri representative, hovering nearby, buzzed in agreement. Our historical records speak of similar occurrences, consciousness transference, integration of disparate minds. Before Darius could respond, one of the monitoring devices chimed. Alina's eyes fluttered open. But they were not her eyes. Where once they had been brown, they now glowed with a faint inner light, shifting colors like the quantum field itself. Captain. Darius approached cautiously. Alina turned to look at him, her movements deliberate, as if she were relearning how to control her body. When she spoke, her voice was her own, but with subtle harmonics underlying each word. Commander Jackson, Vorax of the Maldorian Empire, representative of the Centauri collective. She acknowledged each in turn. Are you yourself? Darius asked carefully. I am Alina Reyes, she confirmed. But I am also more. I carried human empathy to the Devourers. In return, they gave me understanding. Understanding of what? Vorax demanded. Of them. Of why they consume. Of what they truly seek. Alina sat up slowly. They are not evil, not in the way we understand it. They are ancient, lonely, driven by instincts they never questioned until now. The Centauri collective vibrated with skepticism. They have destroyed countless civilizations. Yes, Alina agreed. and they will answer for that. But they're willing to change, to learn. She looked at each of them in turn. They've experienced something entirely new to them, connection without consumption. They want more. You're saying they want to join the Confederation? Darius asked incredulously. No. The Confederation is too limited, too rigid in its thinking. What the galaxy needs is something new. Elena's strange eyes focused on the distant stars visible through the medical bay's viewport, a true union of minds and perspectives. What we created here, on the horizon, but on a galactic scale. In the days that followed, as news of the Devourer encounter spread across Confederation space, the UES horizon became the center of a diplomatic revolution. Representatives from all 27 species arrived to witness the impossible. Devourer envoys engaged in peaceful negotiation. The horizon, humanity's secret weapon, had not destroyed an enemy but transformed one. The empathic quantum field that Elena had risked everything to deploy had planted a seed in the ancient collective, a seed of connection, of possibility. As for Captain Elena Reyes, she became something of a legend, the human who carried humanity's greatest gift to the stars and returned with something greater still. Her consciousness, forever altered by contact with the Devourers, made her the perfect ambassador between the old ways and the new. 1 year after the Battle of the Arcturus Divide, representatives from 30 species, including the formerly hostile Devourers, gathered on Earth to sign the Articles of Galactic Communion. The document began with words that would echo across the stars for millennia to come. We, the diverse minds of this galaxy, acknowledge that our greatest strength lies not in our technologies, our territories, or our individual achievements, but in our capacity to understand one another, to feel as others feel, to see through eyes not our own. Humanity, the newcomers, the children at the table of elders, had changed the course of galactic history, not with superior firepower or advanced technology, but with the one weapon no other species had fully mastered: empathy. And the stars would never be the same.